Welcome to part 1 of this series. This is all about the flat blackberries. For this I used some black cotton fabric and some black cotton thread, of course scissors, and then beads in different colors. And I have 3 types of beads here, but I ended up using only the black ones and the dark red ones. The other ones were a bit too bright for my personal taste. I used a tutorial from a blog called Sew in Love, and I'm going to put that in the description box in case anybody's interested. First thing I did was anchoring the thread on the back side of the fabric. This doesn't really have to be pretty because it's going to be the back side, so nobody's going to see it. It's going to be attached to the fabric. And you can also use this pattern for raspberries, by the way. I just personally prefer blackberries. And then I pulled the needle through to the other side and started with the beads. So the next thing is really simple. You just have to do it a lot of times, which is pick a bead, go back in, come back out, take another bead, and the same thing over and over again. Now the thing is that you should make sure not to make it too symmetrical. I'm starting off with a little row of beads here, but that's mostly just to have some orientation with the other beads. As in nature, nothing should ever be too symmetrical. So you're going to start realizing when you're trying to plan these blackberries out too much that they're going to look kind of bad. So just going with it and being a little random is really going to do you favors here, because it's going to make the end product look a lot more natural. And because it's a little boring to just watch me do this, I'm going to tell you the very, very interesting story of me and blackberries, which is when I was a rather little girl, my grandma used to take us to the Environmental Protection Zone, which is quite nearby. I think it's 2 kilometers, so that's a nice walk. And we had to collect blackberries for her, which were growing there rather wildly next to the pathways, and she made marmalade from those and sold them at the Christmas fair for some non-profit organization that we have here locally. So me and my sister and my cousins, because we were so tiny, we were basically made to crawl into the bushes and get blackberries, which was always kind of fun, but we also had the private joke amongst ourselves that my grandma was making her marmalade with child labor, which was us. So that's why I love blackberries so much. Also, they make a very, very delicious cake. And the marmalade was good too. So I actually quite like blackberry plants. They're very versatile. They grow pretty much everywhere. They can defend themselves, which I always like in a plant. And they're delicious. I think I already said that. So I love blackberries, so I chose them as a theme for this Reticule, because we're all trying to display our personality. And I think blackberries match me quite nicely. Also, as I learned recently, they're related to roses. I didn't know that before, but it kind of makes sense. As you can see, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible here with the red beads, because you know how sometimes blackberries don't get ripe evenly and there's sometimes a little bit left that is quite red. So I'm trying to imitate that, but you can experiment with that kind of thing to get the look you like. And this is about where I stopped filming, because the file was getting half an hour long. Believe me, editing this down took forever. And that's about it. You can see I made 10 blackberries so that I could have 5 on each side, and I just cut them out in a circle, and then I wrapped the fabric on the inside and I attached it. And I'm not going to show you how to attach them yet, because at this point I hadn't made the reticule. And the next thing I did was do the 3-dimensional blackberries that are the decoration instead of tassels. See you then!